A little bit of a claw back there for New Esports. They are starting to do work. DDZ is dancing around with his Morphling. He's actually doing spectacularly well despite being behind earlier on. It has caught up.
Avalanche toss out from Tims, but Candy is going to burrow strike in. Still March is around the corner with the mech. No Hand of God yet, however. Tims, burrow striked again. There's your Hand of God coming out. He's still alive. Mosen now going to be in a bit of danger and looks like he is going to die as KB cancels off Yamate's TP. Just leaves him there as he turns back around onto Mosen. Can't quite finish the job, but they do get Yamate. And that's the big one.
Oh boy. It's a back and forth one. Like, after all of that, you still lose Yamate at the end. You're still pretty happy with the progress in the game. That gap is growing a bit shorter. It's now 10k the way of TNC, so your cores are fighting for him. DDZ, with that downtime, did manage to finish the E-Blade. So they're starting to put Yamate in the backseat, give DDZ the space, and it should pay off. The Morphling is starting to look a lot better. All they really need from Yamate is to finish up that Heaven's Halberd. Once you've got that Halberd up, you can start to get some control out. The Slark's not going to be able to hit you. KP's not going to be able to hit you. That's what you want. But having DDZ at this size as well, it's going to be fantastic. Except, KP also has a Halberd now. So they've got some control for that right-click damage coming out from New Esports anyway.
Here come the tier 3 items. See how all this pans out. New. Just happy to have a bit of downtime for themselves. That net worth gap that we saw earlier has been reduced by just about 5k. So New are feeling very, very happy.
Wow, that's a really quick Roche. Just 4 seconds from the actual cooldown, so it is back up. And TNC is in a good position to take it. No vision here from New Esports to spot the Roche happening. They're going to have to be quick on their feet, and Mosen has to constantly spam that rocket flare out.
Well, they seem to want a team fight. There's your rocket flare. Nobody's there right now. Gabby. Let's get revealed. Rupture is going to be out on Candyloon. We'll go for the Sandstorm, but Dust is out. DDZ, Burrow striking in. Candy will 4-staff to the high ground, and that's Barry. No, it wasn't. It was just a 4-staff from Candy. That'll be it. Just a Rupture expended. TNC, they seem a bit indecisive right now. They don't seem to be very confident trying for the Roshan play. They might feel like they need a pick-off or two.
They're a lot more cautious now that they're seeing the control New Esports has. The double burrow strike is costing them a lot of issues from DDZ. So him in the Sand King form is just a bit too much control. There's no defensive items up on TNC. They don't have any BKBs to speak of, except on Armel. So you don't have one on Gabby, you don't have one on KP. That does make it easier to control those big cores, and they can't even safely reach Chat Rush. There's just too much information given out here by New Esports.
Big group up here. Smoke from New Esports through the mid lane. They do make it fairly obvious they were smoked, however. They're going to try and wrap around to the Radiant Triangle. Gabby's courier going to fly past. TNC aren't going back that way, but rather they'll go towards the Dire base. Do you get Tim's courier? So TNC going to try and force a defense out and maybe rush for the Roshan pit after that. Nice little courier snipe out from Gabby. The Rax is exposed, so New Esports going to be a bit cautious. They will TP back in.
Yeah, that's a lot of TPs expended now. So if they wanted to go, this is their opportunity. They already do. They still maintain a creep with vision in the Roche pit. So New Esports, again, just playing back and forth here. A lot of caution from TNC. New Esports as well, not forcing any sort of big movements out. They're going to have that Halberd on Yamate up soon. So again, that's a key piece of control coming out for New Esports. Should be able to see that in effect if a fight breaks out anytime soon. But again, just caution from every side, although Yamate a bit forward.
So many halberds coming out. Yamate has one now. It's a lot. Roshan. Still going to be scouted out by Mosen. TNC just can't catch a break with that Roshan yet. Didn't realize, but Armel has a Scythe of Vice up, apparently.
Oh yeah. That control is going to be really helpful. It's going to keep the DDZ pinned in place. And we were talking about TNC not having defensive items. DDZ went pretty deep in offense as well. There's a smoke now from Esports. You know the Roche is happening.
They've got such a lineup that deals with the Roshan pit so well. They've got to take this fight. They've got double Burrow Strike. They've got cooldown. They've got hook shots. But unless Yamate gets caught like this, he could be in danger. They'll Burrow Strike in. Scythe of Ice is out on the Morphling. Now the boat to fly out. TNC, they're going to try and focus down DDZ, and it looks like they've almost got him, but he is still alive. No, Tims. He'll finish the job off. DDZ is down, and that is your main source of damage. And even Yamate now being left alone to die. And TNC, they're going to rush back for the Roshan.
Wow, that was a big mistake. New Esports, their smoke broke outside. Tims was preempting that movement. They didn't manage to find a better angle to come in. They got punished. TNC is going to find that second Roche for the Aegis and Cheese. They do have buybacks, at least on DDZ, so if they need it for the high ground, they're going to be able to have it. But look at this. Even Tims now has an E-Blade up, and that just makes it harder to fight in here.
Okay, B, he just forced the buyback by himself. He's going to die for it. Gabby's going to rush in now. So KP giving up his own life for the buyback of DDZ. They kill him one more time, though. This game's basically over for New Esports. The DDZ has to be extremely cautious. Looks like he will just sit in his base and continue defending with the rest of his team. New Esports probably won't really want to force a fight until they do have that buyback back up.
Yeah, it's going to be a while for that one. TNC, for their part, are going to be waiting for Hand of God. They expended it right as KP died. They're going to want that up and running before the next fight. And of course, this gives them time to clear up and take some tier 4 items for themselves.
Oh, Timeless Relic is up on Tims. You got to love that, John. Added spell damage, added debuff duration. Can't complain at all if you are Tims. New Esports just trying to take a little bit of the map back for themselves, as they do need to continue farming up. But tier 2 tower is going to be denied off. TNC. They'll let Armel start scouting out. In fact, Gabby is trying to get Mosen. Mosen did hook shot away. Armel couldn't get the X off in time. That might be it for TNC. Do they want to try and force this? You've got KP back up.
Yeah, you've got Aegis and Cheese still. Hand of God is about half a minute off. I really reckon they're just going to wait for that additional heal. That's how they've been winning out these fights. They've got control of the jungle anyway. They can just keep farming up. They're going to have Ags on KP relatively soon too. About 1,100 gold off the Ags. So you'll have that up and running. You'll have additional Rupture charges. You've got an Abyssal flying in for Gabby. And then you're pretty much set. All of it lining up quite nicely here. And it should make it easier to siege your high ground with all of that control coming out.
I love the fact that March is even going for the Holy Locket now on the Chen. Just wanting to really amplify that heal. As well as that, though, don't forget you can use your wand charges on your teammates now with Holy Locket. So it's essentially almost 400 HP worth of a burst heal. Still, Burrow Strike going to come in for Candy. Blood Rights everywhere. But, now slowly defending this New Esports. Tims looking for a toss back, does get Burrow Striked up, but is X'd away. Now DDZ jumping in with his own stun, but Gabby will go straight after Barry in the back lines. They'll use him up. Barry's still in a lot of danger here and will go down. Now Gabby can turn back around and go for some more. They spot out Yamate. Armel gets the Scythe of Vice off into the X-Torrent bow, but the BKB is there in time, and Mosen does hook shot in, but Gabby's not done. Still after Yamate, nobody's helping this Gyrocopter out. He is just falling slowly but surely, and Gabby does end up killing him. DDZ trying to control the rest of the team by himself. but he just can't do it. In fact, he is torn it up now. But with that sandstorm, he will be okay. Can't say the same about their racks, however. As it may just finally go down. And with no buyback on Yamate, they might just go for another.
Yeah, nothing stopping them here. They've still got Ruptures up in KP. They don't have the Hand of God, but still fairly tanky on this end for TNC. They know they've got the numbers advantage.
KP, Rupture out on Candy. They won't waste their time. No, they will. Avalanche toss onto Barry without buyback. So that's your Rubik gone for 50, and now Gabby going on to DDZ. You see, going to get some damage out. Gabby still willing to go onto Candy. Bloodright is out on Mosen. Candy will be able to just get out of there. TNC back at it. Into the mid racks, but they may force themselves to back off as Yamate is respawning, or maybe not. Tim's again with the X into the Avalanche toss. Will go after Candy. Doesn't quite finish him, but they do now have the mid racks. Mosen getting run of A tossed up by KP. Gabby looking to go in after this clockwork and does get a very nice bash. Still, the Burrow Strike going to help out. Gabby is very low, but still has the Aegis. Another Burrow Strike, but they've lost Mosen. Now back onto the Morphling. They got the toss off with the Vessel, but he will waveform in time. Back to Candy Loon, trying to force stuff out of there, but it looks like he is gone, and now the pounce up from Gabby not going to be enough to hold down the Morph. But they got the mid racks. And I believe that'll be enough. Aegis still in... No, it did expire. So Gabby not willing to risk anything now, but March, he's been lifted up. Burrow Strike in, double Burrow Strike in fact onto KP, but Tims will toss him out. Still the Adaptive Strike will follow. March also gone. New Esports, this could be their team fight. They've just got to be wary of Gabby in his own positioning, or maybe not. They'll get a Burrow Strike off, back onto Tims, but now they've turned back around with the Hex out on the Morphling. He's falling very, very low, but the Burrow Strike out from Candy Loon, buying more time. Gabby will eat the cheese, trying to fight back. No, he's trying to retreat now. And he will just pounce away with the Aghanim Scepter, but Candy, looking for another stun out, will go after Armel, while Gabby, he does reset, going back in after DDZ. Armel's still alive, but there are boats flying everywhere. It's a boat fleet, in fact. Burrow Strike back onto Gabby. He does pop the Shadow Dance. Back onto Yamate now, but he's got to pounce out of there. Or does he? He resets again. Gabby's not done. He did see Gary for a sec, or Barry, I meant to say, for a second. Pounces around, but won't find him.
Oh man,
Barry will be fine.
New Esports on the edge with that defense. They do manage to find some punishment for TNC, but TNC still finds the objectives they want. They find the complete top set of racks. They find a mid set of racks. There's some damage done to those tier 4s as well from the creep waves coming in. They force some buybacks out. 41-19, 21k net worth lead. It's still TNC's match to lose, but New Esports, they're not making it easy for TNC. They're putting up a fight. DDZ, he's been on point in the Morphling. Just, again, that Sand King form. The two Sand Kings running around with the stuns. It's a bit too much for TNC to handle at times. And TNC, with their build-up, emphasizing that they don't have BKBs. They have one on Armel, that's it. They don't have anything defensive on Gabby to have him just stand in front. Nothing on KP as well. And that is what's holding them back in these fights. Every single time the stuns come out, they are just kind of stuck if they are caught out like that.
They'll wait it out. New Esports. 20k behind now. It is looking pretty rough. The Dota Plus. The Genius AI is stating 96% for TNC. It was higher, mind you. New Esports are still fighting back. Just you start to question how much further they can push this. They may have a lot of confidence in the fact that they might be able to outscale Gabby on the Slark, but it is easier said than done here.
Oh, for sure. It's difficult. Like, every single time Gabby finds a kill, he's gonna get a free piece of Agi. He's got 23 stacks of permanent Agi up. It's a ton of stats on that alone.
Let's catch out Tims. Tims does have the E-Blade, does blink away. Barry knows where he's gone, but they can't get the lift off in time. Ooh, Barry, he had the spider legs as well. Bit unfortunate there for Barry.
Yeah, a scary spot for Tims, but he is just trying to buy that space across the map. That movement up top opens up the bot lane. Gabby has shoved it in. They're just setting themselves up to keep pressure on the one remaining Rax lane. So it's going to be tricky for New Esports to be all over this map. They don't have travels in any of their teammates. They don't have ways of getting around the map quick enough. And TNC can just chip away like this, just playing the split push game.
Armel. Love to get a pick off here. Armel going for the Octarine core up next, by the way, John.
Ooh, love it.
Just really wants those lower cooldowns. Can't blame him.
Yeah, just adding in, right? Like having a lower cooldown in Ghost Fleet is going to help. I think X is really where it's at. So you're going to have that piece of control up a lot more often than expected. New Esports, on their end, they're still waiting for that Scotty to be up from DDZ. He's holding out for the buyback, as you would want at this point. You're seeing Yamate build into the AC for himself in the Gyrocopter, so just a little bit more durability flying out in the Gyro. Really a lot less emphasis on the Gyro as a damage dealer here. He's just gone full utility with his build-up, and that's really the role he's going to be stuck in.
It's a sad position for Yamate. Haven't even seen much morphing into the Gyro this game. Like, it's just constantly been the Sand King. You can appreciate the fact that you do want the added Burrow Strike rather than the added DPS from the Flak Cannon. Rob shot, going to be out into the toss back, and now the X back perhaps? No, it is on Tims. Yamate with the BKB, going to be alright. Or is he? KP gets another Rupture out onto Yamate. The Blood Right, but he does TP.
Oh man, I love those plays. They're really just trying to force some movements out here from New Esports. TNC is just trying to force something out. It's not happening. New Esports are just way too disciplined right now. They've stuck together. They're not biting into the bait. This has stalled out long enough for the Roche to be up. So third Roche of the game. There's an Ag's Blessing on his pocket as well. And New Esports, it's time to keep scouting the Roche bit. Mozen's just got to spam that flare out.
They do. I don't believe you can afford to let this one go. You need to go for the fight if you're New Esports. They have smoked up, but Tims is going to be X'd in Avalanche and X back, and that's buying more time for Gabby, but he's going to get out of the pit and go for the team fight. Onto Yamate, Candy. Doesn't connect with the Burrow. Nice pounce out from Gabby, does connect onto the Gyrocopter, but Mozen going to push him back with the cogs. Now DDZ back in, but he's in a bit of danger as Gabby has the Abyssal Blade. Still trying to go after KB now. Hook shot back in from Mozen. Armel gets the X off of the side. The Vice is looking bad for our Morphling, but he does Burrow Strike. No, DDZ, he will die mid-Burrow Strike. Now the Epi out from Candy, but it does nothing. And Yamate has been caught, and they call it GG, well played. TNC at 49.5 minutes in will take game number 1.
All right, it's a hard-fought victory for TNC. New Esports putting up a valiant fight with their draft. It was a slow start for them. They found a bounce back mid-game. They're